Hi there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. Welcome to Sketchbook Sunday, where I'm not working in my sketchbook, but I am working on a project that I am doing for a class so I can improve my skills as an artist. This is a portrait of my daughter done in a monochrome watercolor on a half sheet of watercolor paper, which is 15 inches by 22 inches. I'm using a neutral tint here, which is a neutral color. It's kind of like a grayish color, but it's made from several pigments. And I'm going to kind of talk about that now because we're going to get in a situation where having a multiple pigment color can give you a little issue, and I'm going to show you how to fix that. So I wanted to start on by throwing in kind of washes over everything to try to get my values down. I like to get a layer on everything right off the bat because my motto is fail fast if you're going to fail. So at least I would know if it was working out or not. Now, if you look at the toning on the face, look how brown that looks. When you're using any multiple pigment color, especially like a neutral tint or something like that where you're working in monochrome, you really want to stir that color up. So what had happened was I had let my background dry and I let the couple different diluted shades dry in my palette, and I, went away, had some lunch, came back, and when I went to wet it, I didn't stir up that little well of color that I had mixed. So the pigment separated and I ended up with a way browner tint on her face than on anywhere else in the picture. Since I'm doing layers, it's not going to be a big deal. It'll even out when I do layers on top, but that could be quite frustrating if you weren't going to be working in a lot of layers. Something I did with the leggings here, because I wanted them to be very matte and smooth, was after painting it, I took a mop, a really soft mop brush, and the mop was dry, and I went in and just kind of lightly blended everything out so it took out any brush strokes and any streakiness, because the neutral tint can feel a little thick when you're using it really dark like that, because neutral tint is not going to give you your blackest blacks. And because of that, and you'll see this as we work through, because of that I actually did use some black towards the end of the painting, and you'll see that when we're working kind of upright in a few moments. I wanted some rocks in the background. I wanted the waves in the water to kind of guide your eye through. I was kind of nervous while I was putting anything in the background because I didn't want it to detract from the focal point. So I wanted to make sure whatever I put in the background was going to guide your eye through the painting back to my daughter, or it was going to add a little bit of interest, or it was going to reflect some of the shapes that I'll be using in the hair and the arms and whatnot. So I wanted it to support my focal image. I'm starting to add some glazes onto the face. I had some issue with the hair, which I can see really right now. It looks like she has a helmet on her head, and I was able to correct that a little bit later. My instructor does not mind us using Chinese white. In fact, that's one of the colors that he had on his supply list, and I mentioned that in last week's Sketchbook Sunday because I had used it. So you're going to see that come out towards the end as well. I really enjoyed doing the folds on the t-shirt there by just kind of going in with some juicy paint and kind of painting them in pretty boldly and then softening edges if need be. Working in layers like this was really fun. It was a lot like drawing with graphite because you just keep adding shadows and shadows until you're happy. And I switched over here to working upright because I feel like when I have such a large painting like this, especially one that's oriented portrait like this one is, and I'm sitting or standing at my table, you'll get so much distortion from just standing up and looking across your painting that it's, even with watercolor, it's a good idea to get it upright if you can. So at this point I'm not doing really watery washes, so I could put it up against my my jewelry making station here and work over here comfortably. And plus I could sit in a chair, which is something I don't do very often when I'm working, so that was kind of a treat. I really loved painting the hair. The way that her hair was when she was just kind of playing on her phone there, I think she was probably trying to take a photo for Instagram. I don't know, kids these days, right? I just really liked how it was just kind of spilling all over everywhere. She wasn't really, paying attention to it, and I just thought that was really nice. I really paid attention to the shadows. Obviously, the black leggings are one of the darkest values, but if you squint and look at the photo, which you can see clipped up on my the plexiglass I have my painting tape to, you can see that the hair has a very similar, the shadows in the hair, even though her hair is light brown, it's got some of those dark values. The shadow under the arm and like the armpit area, that's got that same dark shadow. The bottom of the forearm that's against the bent the knee, the arm that's bent around, it is dark. down there next to the knee. So you really need to push yourself to find those shadows, especially when you're painting in monochrome, because you don't have color to rely on. So it will make you a stronger painter. Now, would I have painted this in monochrome if I didn't have an assignment for a class? No, probably not. But I am so glad I did, because I found this extremely fun and rewarding to paint. I just loved building up the layers. Using the neutral tint was a lot of fun. And at this point, I've actually brought in some black. It's PBK6. It just said black on it. It's my Shinhan black, which I really like, actually. And this was kind of fun and novel and new for me, because I never use black in my watercolors. So this is really something new, and I wanted to try something new. That's why I signed up for this class. And I have to say, I am crossing over to the dark side. I really like the way the black looked. Now, I am using some Chinese white as well, and that was also my Shinhan Chinese white, because I don't purchase white and black. If I have it, it's because it came in a set. And other than the fact that the Shinhan white is very cool, like you can kind of see when the picture's done that the highlights that I do in the white has a very cool tint to it. Other than that, I really liked it. And I'm just kind of fussing around with some of the shadows. I am moving my entire painting so that I can approach, like, especially the hairs, like, really comfortably, because I don't want to have jaggedy. I want very smooth, fluid lines for the hair. So by flipping it on its side, it made it so I could pull the strokes towards me, which is really, it's one of the best ways that I can control a nice long fluid stroke, is to pull the stroke either towards me or towards my dominant hand, which I'm right-handed, so it's my right hand. My instructor said I could use a little bit more texture on the rocks. I could have been a little bit more in focus. But other than that, I got really good marks from my teacher, so that felt good. I didn't know what you would think, but I was really happy with it anyway. And it definitely was a challenge, and it definitely pushed me to be a better painter, I think. And now we can slow it down a little bit and show you the painting all done. I am so happy with the way it came out. So now what I'm doing for this class is I am painting this painting, the same painting, with the Zorn palette, which is cadmium red, yellow ochre, ultramarine blue, black, and Chinese white. So that's going to be really interesting, since I don't typically use black and white, and I usually use like a quinacridone red for my skin tones. But so far it's going so well, and I will share that when it's done, probably next week. Thank you so much for watching. Please give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this, and until next time, happy crafting. Oh, and something I want to mention, if you feel like you're a little lost when it comes to drawing, I do have a course, Learn to Draw with Lindsay. I'll link it up below, and you can check that out if you want. And we do a couple portraits, so hopefully that will help you if you are getting started on this art journey and you want to do some portraits too. Thanks for watching. Until next time, happy crafting.